had a very long month away, but it is July now, and we are back as promised.
It's July?
Yeah, you've got a problem there, Sarah. So I might as well say we've got a friend, Sarah. Hi, Sarah, the hawk-eyed Hearty. And we've brought along a special friend. Hi, Casey.
Hello, friends. I'm here. Surprise.
Welcome,
Surprised
Casey.
to see me.
She asked if she could come and do this episode with us. And this was by pure coincidence, but this is the first recording that we are doing since coming back from ROMADRAMA.
ROMADRAMA.
So we thought that might be fun. We had a total blast. It was so much fun. It was a lot of work, but we had a great time. And we tried to get Sarah to come, but it was kind of a last minute thing, so she couldn't make it work, for which I'm very sad, but next time.
Next time. Yes, next time you're going to have to join us in the Cami crew section.
You know,
Yes.
I think you needed another person to take pictures and videos of Cami while she rubbed elbows with all the stars and entertained everyone with her talents.
And also slow danced with Billy Hamilton. So
He's quite the charmer.
Okay, so this is going to take just a tiny little deviate, and we're going to explain this because this is going to go way too far if I let these two go on.
It would be so much fun, though.
Oh, 100%. Why do you think I really wanted to join this one? It's just so that I can just, we could talk about this.
Okay, Cami, what's your explanation?
Well, first of all, if you guys keep going, then I'm going to live up to the name that Casey gave me, the Unhooked Hearty After Dark.
Yes, we all know Cami can get wild and crazy.
Especially after 10 p.m.
Yeah, that's when the sleepiness kicks in. And I get a little college girl loopy. No alcohol needed. But okay, so at ROMADRAMA on the Friday evening, there was karaoke night. And if you missed our chat, actually, Casey's in my chat with Andrew back in December on the Hallmarkies podcast. We were, just drumming up excitement and getting some promotional stuff going for ROMADRAMA, but then it got pushed. It got pushed to June. So Casey had mentioned it just being funny, that Andrew and I should do a duet together. And then he said, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, okay. And he said, what should we do, Cami? I'm like, I'm trying to think very fast. And I said, Everything I Do by Bryan Adams. He said, oh, I like it. So at ROMADRAMA at karaoke night on Friday night, it was nuts, right, Casey?
Oh, it was nuts. It was, what, 350 to 400 people in that room?
Something like that. And there was a list of people that had written down that they wanted to sing, but then they said, we don't have enough people, which I was like, yes, you do, but like, we don't have enough people, so come line up. And so they were going with the line instead of the list. And it was just a crazy night. It was the first night of full-blown ROMADRAMA, so it was kind of crazy. But I stood there, I stayed back for a while, but then I stood there. I was like, okay, no, we got to make this happen because we've been planning it for a while. And
6
so
months at this point.
What was that?
6 months at this
point. About 6 months
at
this point. And
a lot of anticipation.
Yeah. And so I was talking to the DJ and I said, do we have time for one more? And he said, I don't know, we're going to have to do a hard stop and at 10:30, and it was like 10:27. And Gabrielle, who ran the event, just happened to be standing right there. And I said, Gabrielle, would it be okay if Andrew and I just did this one last number? Because we've been planning it for 6 months, and he told me that he was ready to go, and he had been running through it over and over to get ready for it. Please, could we do that? And she said, oh, I'm not getting in the way of that. So Andrew and I went up on stage and we just happened to be the closing number of.
And let me say, it was a closing number.
Right? I mean, I didn't see all the other performances, but
it was we had the phone lights out, we had the arm waving, we had the screaming, we had the wooing. I mean,
yeah, you were doing most of the wooing.
No, there was a lot more wooing than just me. I just happened to have the phone.
I know. And then yes, during the interlude we slow danced. No, but he was so sweet about it. And then when I went to say goodbye, he said, we need to make this a yearly thing. We need to sing a power ballad every year, you and me. I'm like, we'll see if we can make that happen.
okay. So what's high on your list for next year?
Let's have Andrew cast me in his movie where he's going to be a leading man with Crystal Lowe, and it's going to be a story about two therapists arguing over the treatment of one of their patients. And then when she is all healed and the two therapists have fallen in love, then he and I will sing at a charity auction gala, right, Casey? That was your idea.
That was my idea.
And then the two of them, she comes up onto the stage because I say, I can't do this without saying a big, huge thank you to the other person responsible for my healing. And then we call Crystal up. They take a bow together. They kiss. Lovely end of the movie, isn't it?
All right, now.
Okay.
Writers.
I just meant, what song do you want to sing next year? Okay.
Oh, I know. I swear by the stars in the sky.
I had the idea of Baby, I'm Amazed.
Oh.
Don't know how you do what you do. I'm so in love with you. Yep, there's that one.
That's a good one. It's a good one. I was thinking, like, How Do I Live? Trisha Year with Leanne Rimes.
Ooh. I don't know. Would he be able to hit that?
Well, if you do it as a duet, you both don't have to sing at the same time. So
Yeah.
you can arrange the lines any way you want to.
And the poor guy had already sung This Is How We Do It. And he done it like in his big voice. This is how we do it. So I think I had him start singing by himself.
Vocalist.
I had him starting to sing by himself for a little bit, but it sounded like he was struggling, so I jumped back in. So we'll have to make sure that he does it when he's a little fresher, when his voice isn't so tired.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Good thing that Andrew Walker has been on When Calls the Heart. Otherwise, this conversation would be completely irrelevant.
Don't worry, Andrew. We have your whole next year planned.
Yeah,
good.
Absolutely. Yes. So basically, Cammie sang and did a dance duet thing with Billy Hamilton. So the skunk.
The skunk. But he was the farthest thing from a skunk, let me tell you.
No, he is so sweet, y'all.
He was such a doll.
He's a darling.
Yeah, he was such a doll. When it was over, I went back to talk to Casey and Jess and Jax, and he came over to tell me what a great job I had done, and that was a great pick. And he said, "You did a great job, baby." I'm like, "Well, same to you, honey." You know, so it was so sweet. Such a doll. That's why he's one of my favorites, because he's great on the screen and he's great in real life.
Oh yeah.
Fabulous guy.
Definitely.
Now, shall we talk about what we came to talk about this time?
I came to talk about you. I don't know. Oh, the show. Okay.
The show. So this is kind of interesting because it's all kind of coming together. So it's July and we are celebrating Christmas in July on the Hallmark Channel. Now, this isn't exactly Christmas, which I'm actually kind of, I really liked, and I still do. I really liked that they did something different. They did a New Year's movie instead of Christmas, because it's always Christmas. And they did Christmas every year after that they were doing it. So I really like that they started with New Year, because it was just something different that people don't usually do. So we've got fun. Christmas in July, which is kind of around the same time period as New Year's. And then the picture that is the angle looking up of Jack and Elizabeth when they're about to kiss and the fireworks are going off, that's used for New Year and the 4th of July, which just passed. So it all comes back, right? You know?
Sure.
Sure.
We're making the connection. We're just making it.
We're here for it.
We're here for it. And since I don't have a lot of Hearties gear, I decided to just celebrate New Year's.
No, I think it's perfect, because I know your computer can't do the backgrounds. My old one couldn't. So we've got the backgrounds, and I've got the When Calls the Heart hat. And so somebody had to bring the festive stuff. So Thank you, Sarah.
I'm good at being festive.
Oh, she's good at being festive.
I also have my 4th of July nails on.
Oh, those are cute.
It's perfect. It's perfect. All right. So I want to start this off by just saying, because this was the first time that they did a special, and it was 2 hours long with commercials. Mm-hmm. So what is you guys' favorite part of the episode? And you're not allowed to say the very end when they kiss. Because I'm not going to say it either. Oh. So,
well, you know, I'm a big Coulter fan.
You?
I'm Coulter fan. Who, me? What? Huh? The line that makes me laugh every single time is when the reporter takes a picture of Rosemary and Lee and calls Lee Mr. Leveauxs. It doesn't matter. I can watch this movie a billion times, and without fail, I always just die laughing. I love the Rosemary shenanigans in here. It brings me joy in life.
And that look on his face.
It's like, huh? But and I think it's because too, he calls her out at the very end of the charade, which usually doesn't always happen. It's more of like, oh, you know, the person putting on the charade gets a revelation. They're like, I probably shouldn't be doing this. But I love that this really took their relationship to the next level. So
well, and I like that you said that, because I think it showed the progression of their relationship, of him knowing that there are very few, but there are moments when he needs to kind of lay down the law and be like, no, this is how we're going to do it. So you know, every once in a while she has to be reined in. He doesn't do it often, but he knows when it's necessary.
Mm-hmm. Well, and he goes, you know, speaking of progression, he goes from saying, my New Year's resolution is to learn how to say no to that woman, to Lee Coulter, you take that back right now. No, I won't.
Exactly. Another favorite moment I have from this, though, is also Lee, but it's with Jack at the beginning. I love when he was like, if he proposes to me, I will deck the guy. Talking about Charles. They always had such a great, I loved Kevin and Daniel's like on-screen chemistry. They were just such great buds that could just throw lines back and forth to each other, and it was always really funny, and then followed up with something heartfelt. And I really liked how they did that scene.
That bromance, I have to honestly say, that is a screen bromance that I miss desperately. I really do. Because it's one of my favorites. I just absolutely love, just like you said, Sarah, I loved watching Kevin and Dan next to each other and seeing what they would do.
Yeah, I agree.
But speaking of good scene partners, my absolute favorite scene from this show is on the back porch with Rip. Rip's a good scene partner.
Rip.
And speaking of whom, I brought a friend.
Oh, Rip.
It's Rip. This is my Jack's Rip. He's had it since he was born, actually, because I knew I was going to call him Jack. So why not, right? And Rip has a huge amount of screen time in this episode. So I thought it appropriate for him to make an appearance. So I have too many favorite scenes in this episode to talk about to name one, and the Rip ones are one of them. So let's just go there. Let's talk about Rip. So we have Elizabeth deciding that she's going to take on Rip. Okay,
the Thatcher doesn't run from a challenge.
No. And Thatchers never admit defeat. Did you guys, I remember the first time I saw this episode, I was dying laughing that Jack would move in and try to kiss Elizabeth and
Okay, so this is a true story. When I met my husband and we started dating, he had 2 cats. And when I would come over and we'd like watch a movie or something, I would get up to go to the bathroom and I'd come back and his girl cat would would jump up onto the couch while I was in the bathroom and cram so close to him, like he's mine.
Oh my God.
And like glare at me when I would come back, like, you're not sitting here. This is my spot.
Oh, man.
It took quite a while. Like we had to go through this whole thing where like I fed them.
So you did an Elizabeth.
It was true. So when I saw this episode, it was very real. It was like, yep, animals do that. And it feels weird because you're like, I just got one up by an animal. I just got told.
And then when Jack reaches out to test the theory, he's like reaching out to hug her. And then it was so funny to me. But probably my favorite part is when she goes, "Come on, boy, come on." And Jack goes, "Go on." And go on. And he follows, and then Elizabeth goes, "See?" And I'm like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I should think that. Yeah.
And it happened twice.
What the
Waiter, he told him to go.
Yeah, well, he told him to go. Yeah. And on the second time, that was the second time that he said maybe it's time he should come home. No, that would be admitting defeat. You know. So, and then that would be a sign of weakness. Rome wasn't built in a day. You know. So
Oh, Elizabeth. But then
it was really cute.
But then the heart-to-heart chat with Rip, I think that has probably got to be the most romantic scene I've seen involving an animal. It's just like, how is that so romantic when he's talking to a dog? It's because it's Dan. That's why. But no, seriously, it was really, really sweet the way he just cuddled up to Rip and was talking to him. Yeah, I don't need to pet the air, you know, and saying, I know this is hard for you. We've just been around like 2 bachelors, laughing and scratching, walking around in our long johns. But it may not be the 2 of us for much longer. And I know that Miss Thatcher isn't as good at playing catch and chasing squirrels, but she smells good and she's pretty special to me. And you're just like, oh. It was just sweet, you know, it was cute. And, I think the fact that it involved a dog made it sweeter and cuter. So
right. And also I think Elizabeth, because Jack was really questioning himself at the beginning, and Elizabeth putting that much effort into something that was important to him, I think was also very meaningful.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, the fact that Rip does mean so much to him, and then Elizabeth took it on. She let a shoe get ruined and tried not to tell him about it. She had her favorite skirt ruined in mud, and she tried not to have him find out about it. I think you're right. Absolutely. But
I mean, not just, I think seeing that she was willing to go through all of that when he didn't, when they just had that conversation about taking it slow and not rushing.
We're going there next. So
yeah, I think that then just solidified, like, okay, she wants to take it slow, but she's serious.
Yeah, let's go to those. Let's go to those two scenes, because first we have the wood chopping scene, which everybody loves.
It is another favorite. Yeah.
Oh man.
I had forgotten how upset he looked. Like, I knew he was upset. Obviously, he would be upset after that. But like, he really looked disheveled.
Angry. And I don't know if you guys know this, but have you seen the season 3 bloopers? Because there's a blooper of him bringing the axe down, and then he goes, ah!
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's been a long time, but yes.
Yeah. So every time I see that, I try not to think about it, but it happens. It's just so funny. But okay, back to being serious. So yeah, he just got comfortable with the idea of them being a couple, and then this happens.
And then he was gonna propose.
Yeah, he was gonna propose in the schoolhouse that he built and was overseeing the building of. And Charles, we love you, Marcus, but we don't like Charles. And Charles comes and proposes in his schoolhouse to his girl in his town.
In his moment.
In his moment. Telling you, if he had left the green suit on, Sarah, he would have been fine. We've had this argument that it was gray and not green.
Oh. Huh.
It was green. Don't worry, Casey. It was green. But the thing, this goes back to my whole, acting that I love to watch. But the thing that gets me is when she comes up to him and tries to convince him by kissing him. Ooh. And his complete lack of response, and you can see his neck tremble and tense because he is holding himself back. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. You could pluck that string in his neck.
Yeah, no kidding. I will say it's been a bit since I've seen this episode until in preparation for it.
Right, yeah.
But I had forgotten how much intensity those two had together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from their conflicts to their, kissing and all that good stuff. But man, when they started off, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot he was angry. Whoa. And like you could really feel it too. Like it was radiating off the screen.
Right.
Like,
so another thought I just had, Rip was probably mad at her because he knew he was going to propose.
Fair.
Right there. Fair. He was there and helping him pick the suit.
Yes.
So then all of a sudden,
good point.
Jack's mad. Jack's not getting married.
Rip says why. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And then Rip is like, why are you kissing her, dude?
didn't even think about it that way. Oh my gosh. But then the tension lightens up a little bit when Inspector Houston arrives. And I love that he just adds in that tiny little, and Elizabeth, you were very convincing earlier. I'm like, oh! He liked it. He didn't want to admit it, but he liked it.
Because then, it was really the first time she showed
that she was
very forward.
Oh yes. Yeah, because she initiated it.
Yeah, she initiated the kiss, and that's the first time that she's ever done that. Yeah. 100%. I mean, there's at the very end when she kind of sidles up and says, we don't have to talk, but he still leaned forward and kissed her first.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, this was the first time that she initiated a kiss. And so for it to be rejected, that's heart-wrenching for her.
But look at how much growth she had that she didn't flip out. She was hurt, rightfully so.
Yeah.
But
oh, you're right.
I love how she didn't panic.
She just walked away.
Just like,
yeah,
not the time. Okay.
Well, it's just like Abigail said, you know who you are now.
Yeah.
And I love that she said that when she saw Elizabeth pumping water, and she was just kind of basking in that best friend / big sister / motherly pride, saying, you know who you are now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah.
You're right. Yeah. And she totally gave him space, and she knew why he was upset, and she understood why he would feel that way.
Yeah. She was still worried, but she wasn't.
Yes.
Yeah. But she was a totally different, like she had a new confidence.
And I really like that she that she reiterated, I was just as surprised to see him as you were. Because one of the things that I think, one of the lines that kind of describes this whole season for me is a line that she says, we can't go back, not when we've come this far. And that's what this whole season 3 is like for me. It's about them moving forward in their relationship. And I think, and there isn't drama between them. There's drama happening around them in this season, but they as a couple are very strong. And any drama that comes between them is not of their making. It's of natural making, like the flood, and
his mom,
it's not of their making. And even then there's not really tension between the two of them. That's what I love about this season is they're not constantly arguing. They are secure in their relationship. They know that they're in love and that they're moving forward together. And I think that kind of describes this whole season in a sentence. And that's why, what?
I was gonna say, that's why it was so perfect that it was started with New Year's and talking about new beginnings and everything. I think that really set the tone for what they wanted to do with season 3. So I think that could be why they went with that instead of Christmas.
That's why I love the scene that we're going to talk about next. The two of them walking home from dinner at the saloon, it looks like. You
know what struck me about that scene that I obviously wouldn't have thought of watching it originally is her hair looks like her wedding hair. She had her hair up.
Her hair was up.
Oh, it was up, but it didn't remind me of her wedding hair. But if it did you, then hey, that's fine.
Of her wedding hair. Maybe it was because she's wearing a white coat also, but
maybe
totally looked like, because it's one of the only times she has her hair up.
It's true. It's true. In season 3, yeah. But yeah, I love this scene. I love this scene because they're talking. They're upset, but they're talking. And Jack is getting everything out. He's saying, high society, social status, you two have a lot in common. And she's saying, I still believe in us. I still think that we can go on together. Do you? He says, yes, I do, but I need to know that you do. And she says, it's the new year. This could be a fresh start for us. Not to rush, but to take our time. And then he says,
you can see that just going off in his brain like.
But then he says, but then he says, proceed cautiously, and she's the one who says, not too cautiously. I'm like, ooh.
Well, you know what's interesting watching it back? It's like I remember watching this the first time, and I'm like, oh, we're gonna get a ring soon.
I know.
And then watching it now, I'm like, well, snap. That wasn't foreshadowing or anything.
Not to rush, but to take a whole season and a half to get that ring. I mean, oh, whoops. Spoiler alert.
Extra season for them to get, together.
Oh, man.
In holy matrimony. But yeah, no, that was it for me watching it back this time. I don't know. I felt a little like nostalgic almost, just like
completely.
watching it and just listening to this conversation. Like it hits differently this time.
Yes.
It really, really hits differently. And I don't know. I get a little like feely inside, almost a little sad feely inside, just
It's
knowing
okay,
everything.
Tracy.
But
You can cry.
yeah.
No, I totally get it. It fills you with a lot of nostalgia. It did me. And my daughter came in the room while I was watching and taking notes, and she said, "Is that Jack?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Yay!" And she sits down and watches with me. So as far as Jack and Elizabeth are concerned, we end the new year on the best note ever. Fireworks are going off. The two of them kiss, and everything is going to be okay. That's the big thing, is you have hope for the two of them.
Yeah.
And it's the first public kiss.
I believe you're right. Yeah, he doesn't care. It's New Year's. There are fireworks going off. I'm in love.
In the school, he looked to see if anybody was around.
Yeah.
And there's nobody there, dude.
They're all going home. Nobody's turned back. Okay, come here.
I love Abigail's reaction to that first public kiss.
I know.
I ship this.
Okay. I know, finally. Okay, so I'm gonna go off of Casey's words of holy matrimony, and let's talk about the couple that was fakely involved in holy matrimony this time around.
Mr. and Mrs. Leveauxs.
Huh.
But yeah, Mr. Ward even says, and how long have the two of you been united in holy matrimony? Okay, so first of all, did you guys notice that at the end, when they're doing the program and then they're having that argument when she says, take that back, he's like, no, I won't, that they're both in shades of purple?
I didn't notice that.
Yes, they were very much coordinating.
They were very coordinated, and they're not, they are a couple, but they're kind of in a growing pain, I think, section where she's testing her boundaries and he's figuring out when to let her go and when to stop her and stuff like that. But yeah, they're in coordinating clothes. I thought, that's not foreshadowing anything, is it? And I didn't notice it until I watched it this time around. Yeah, so
I always notice something new.
Yeah,
it's true. It's true. You really do. So let's talk about Rosemary's plan. And poor Lee saying, this isn't a list, this is the Magna Carta. Poor guy.
I wish they would have listed a few more things on the list. I would have liked to have known what she was thinking.
Yeah, that would have been interesting.
The marching band from the end plan, but
No, there was no marching band that we saw, but you know, who knows? Maybe we missed the parade.
Well, Elizabeth did, put a kibosh on the confetti.
Oh, yes.
That's true.
And that was also a nice step to see Elizabeth kind of put Rosemary in her place. That's the first time she really did that. In season two, it was, season 1 and 2, she was very much just like, do what Rosemary says.
Mm-hmm.
Or don't get in a conflict with her, back down, bite your tongue. But no, she said, Rosemary, I've got it. And Rosemary, I think, was just as shocked as Elizabeth was.
Yeah.
But I think Jack was very proud of her.
He was impressed.
Yeah, he was very impressed. He was very proud of her. Okay, but we stray.
When do you think Mr. Ward figured out that they were not married?
That is such a good question, and I have no idea.
I think from the very first moment.
You think?
When he's called him Mr. Leveauxs, there's no reason for him to have had that reaction.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He could have been suspicious at that point. And that's why he asked all the follow-up questions. How long you've been married? How long,
Just to play. Just to play with him, with them.
He's a reporter, so he's got to have an eye for when people are. Mm-hmm. I would imagine people would exaggerate a lot to a reporter. Mm-hmm. So
true.
Yeah. Like, not that they're lying, but like I would think he would be used to people like exaggerating a little bit and trying to make their story sound good for the paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good point.
That makes a lot of sense, Casey. Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I've never thought of this question before, but I would agree. Probably after he called him Mr. Leveauxs, because I did notice that during that interview, he did kind of seem to put on a little bit like, oh, so tell me all about yourself. Like, I'm not really asking for this paper. I just want to.
Right. It seemed more personal, more.
Yeah, it seemed like he was kind of just, I don't know, poking.
Well, and because he said, I wanted to see what you would do next. Mm-hmm. That really goes with that interview. I thought we would be doing this at your home. It didn't seem pointed to me, but I almost feel that if he didn't think it with the Mr. Leveauxs, he knew it by the end of that interview.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If it wasn't at Mr. Leveauxs, then it was definitely at the interview. He knew by that point. And I really think that because Lee was so good about putting Rosemary in her place and saying, life is not about the show. Mm-hmm. Do you care what is real and what is not? And she says, I do care about the truth, and then prove it. Mm-hmm. And I really think that it was a stepping stone in their relationship, just like you guys said, because it showed Rosemary the quality of man that she had. I mean, she already knew she had a good man, but now she's really seeing he knows me and he knows how I work and he knows when to put me in my place. And I think that it showed Lee that Rosemary does have a soft side, because Lee hasn't really seen the soft side, because when she wanted to get back together with him, she was still kind of putting on a show, because she was bringing up, we had fun, right? And so she was still kind of putting on a show, but she was 100% genuine with Mr. Ward. It took some prodding, but she was 100% genuine. Yeah. And I think that taught both of them a lot about what life was going to be like with the two of them. And so I thought it was beautiful. And then you see them arm in arm saying it's time for the fireworks and enjoying them together. It was precious. It was totally precious.
Yeah. Pascal has done a really good job over the years, like unraveling Rosemary.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I had forgotten how bombastic Rosemary can be. Honestly,
You mean like when Ned gave her the letter and she went,
yeah. But I mean, we're going on 10. What is this? I mean, we're technically 10 years in to Hope Valley.
Oh, now, yeah.
By this point. And so just going back to season 3, season 1 and 2 and 3 even, and you just kind of see the layers just coming off, and then we get a little deeper, because you're right, Rosemary is very shallow and very showy, and it takes Lee to just bring out the depth of her character. And she's not just this, she has a good heart inside, it's just covered up by all of this frou-frou,
and Lee has to go in there and take off all the frou-frou. All right, anything else about Rosemary and Lee before we move on?
I do love the whole the ring thing. It was lost in a, like, the flood and the fire. Too bad the flood didn't come after the fire, and
that was the house.
That it had to be repaired.
And then I lost weight.
It wasn't lost. It was,
I'm allergic to gold. Gives him a rash.
That's rather personal.
It's a little personal. Love button. The names they were calling each other. Honeybug, love button. I'm like, where are you guys coming up with these things? Oh, it is so funny.
So fun.
I do want to bring up Hickam, because this was a good Hickam episode.
This was a good Hickam episode, kind of the beginning of the good Hickam episodes.
Yes.
Yeah. And also just like, it was hilarious having her like move the tree around, and
there were 4 men involved with that, poor guys.
backlit. It's like, I can't move the sun.
Yes.
And my girls were like, wait, is that tree in later episodes? And I was like, I don't know.
Apparently
I actually don't know.
It is. Because they were like, there's not a tree in the front. And I was like, but if you look behind the tree in that scene, they're at the back of the church, which makes zero sense to me.
It's where the light looks the best,
Right. I'm like, why would you plant a tree in the back? Okay.
But and the way that Lee says, he follows you around like a puppy dog.
Yes.
And he calls him a boy. That's what I was like, boy.
That poor boy. And we see now that Hickam has really become a man. So Hickam is another character that
I just love how
you go back to early seasons and you see how much he has grown. It's great. So now let's go to a real little boy. First time we meet Cody and Becky. Oh my gosh, guys, did he look so little?
Sorry, Carter.
Sorry, Carter, but little Carter. Oh my God.
And I remember why everybody always compared him to Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone, because he was like that same size.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same size, same kind of facial structure, the eyes.
Yes.
The hair was a little different, but still, you got the blonde hair that kind of parts, and yeah, he was totally a little Macaulay Culkin. Oh man, but this very sweet storyline of Abigail taking in these 2 orphans. I love when Cody reaches into his pocket and takes out, I only have 3 pennies, and Abigail's trying so hard not to laugh. And well, I'm a businesswoman, so maybe we can work out some kind of arrangement. So, but she didn't, while she was trying not to laugh, she didn't make him feel less.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't make him feel like he was a charity case, because those 2 kids strike me as 2 kids who have a lot of pride. They were trying to make it on their own. and they finally could not do it anymore because Becky was so sick. I mean, it didn't even occur to Cody to stay at the house with his sister. He was going to go back to camp. It didn't even occur to him that he was going to stay there too. And so, yeah, these kids have a lot of pride, and they wanted to do it on their own, and they wanted to do what they could do to give back, but they weren't too proud in the end to accept help when they really needed it. So I thought that they did that line really, really well.
Yeah. Well, I think Becky started to see the writing on the wall of, you know, what their future could be.
I was just going to say that. Even Becky, who said, you go on without me, I can't go any further. And she was the one who said, don't tell anybody that we're here. Don't bring anybody. And then she's the one who says, Mrs. Stanton, can Cody stay with you until I get better? And so, yeah, she saw the writing on the wall, like you said, Sarah. And she also realized that they're just kids. They need help.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that was a good storyline to bring into the show.
Yeah.
Give Abigail some purpose.
Yeah, because she was saying how the cafe was giving her purpose, but then she got to be a mother again. And even before it was official, she still got to be their mother. And we see
the line she said to Frank about to be able to give is a gift.
Yeah.
I think that, like, whether it had been in a mothering way or not, just giving her something that she could do that nobody else was in the position to do right now.
Yeah. Oh gosh, you're making me emotional. Because, yeah, to be able to give is a gift, completely and totally. And we can't forget to have a shout out to Jason Cermak as Dr. Burns, the first appearance that we see of him.
Oh, yes, Dr. Burns.
We love Dr. Burns here on the show.
Dr. Burns. We put him in one of our fan fictions.
Yeah, Sarah and I put it in one of our fan fictions, and I remember I posted it, and Jason came on and said, thanks for including Dr. Burns. Like, that means he read it because he was halfway through the story. But we love Dr. Burns, and we think that Jason just plays him. He plays him effortlessly, and he plays him so completely, so well. Yeah, we love Dr. Burns, and Jason is perfect for Dr. Burns. So, love you, Jason.
He was, oh yeah, I wish he was more of a staple. Oh, you guys, this movie is bringing out a lot of like,
oh, we're getting all the feels and the waterworks going.
Oh, nostalgia here.
Someone come fix the plumbing. Jess, mop, please. So let's go to the other stranger who enters town. This one's Trouble. So,
starts out as so much trouble on this show.
So many people start out as so much.
We're talking about the growth of Rosemary over the seasons. We've talked so much about the growth of Gowan over the seasons.
Not in this one, but
over the seasons. But this is a good reminder in this episode of, like, he wasn't awful in this episode, but you're reminded of just who he was.
He still threatened Bill to sleep with a gun under his pillow.
And Jesse's another one. Started out a little bit unsavory.
He was shady.
Okay, can I just say flat out, love you, Aaron. Couldn't stand Jesse. I could not stand Jesse. And when he started going after Clara, I'm like, not our sweet Clara. Where's Luke? Bring Luke back.
Yeah, I can't say I was a fan of Jesse either.
And this episode kind of has you questioning Frank a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Different name. I mean, we knew he had a past from his chat.
You've got Abigail, a name.
But different name.
He throws Jesse up against the wall
and says, you know what I'm capable of. And you can see that tiny little glint of fear in Jesse's eyes. He's still acting all defiant, but it's that little, oh yeah, right. I'm still going to put on a tough guy show, but never mind.
Right.
Yeah. Abigail can't catch a break between Bill and Frank and all of the things there. It's
well, and then Jesse's hitting on her daughter-in-law, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
And Elizabeth and Jack drama that she's trying to handle. Goodness gracious, the poor woman. This woman had a lot to handle, and she did it with the Abigail grace. Mm-hmm. She handled everything with that Abigail grace. Even, and on top of all of this emotional drama, then she takes in 2 orphans, and one of them is seriously ill. So, I mean, think about how much Abigail had piled onto her in this episode, and we don't even think about it that way because she just flows.
So
she just flows through it nice and easy, and she's on the time capsule committee, the memory box committee. So it's just, wow. This woman had total grace moving through all of these trials, and we don't even realize how much she had added upon her until we start talking about it. Mm-hmm. So it's just one of the reasons why we love Abigail, because Abigail is just such a beautiful, graceful, strong, resilient leader of a character. And yeah, she held it together incredibly well. Mm-hmm. So while we're on emotional drama, let's go. Hey, there's a lot of emotional drama.
What are the other reason we cried in this episode?
Right. Oh, poor Laura and Jed. You know, it's really interesting because when my father died, one of my nieces even told me she was really struggling, and she said, Aunt Cammie, I shouldn't be sad because we're going to see Grandpa again. I know that, honey. And I had this really amazing moment that was very close to what it was like in the show. I'm like, but we have to be without him for a lot of years now. And it's okay to be sad. And it's okay to grieve that. And then in the episode, we're out on the other side of that, where Laura is feeling like she's ready to be happy again, but she's feeling guilty for wanting to even smile again. And you don't see this with kids as often. I see it in, at least in movies and TV shows, I see it with adults who are trying to move on and find love again. Mm-hmm. But in TV shows, I've seen it in real life, but in TV shows and movies, you don't see this with children a whole lot. You don't see them feeling guilty for wanting to be happy again. And so I thought it was a really great take on it.
I mean, if you think about, she's living with Jed, who is obviously exhibiting those same emotion, a lack of emotion, and focus on work, and that's the only model she really has. I mean, it appears that she's new to the school. They kind of allude to her not really knowing much, to Elizabeth not really knowing much about.
Yeah, what do you know about Laura Campbell? Yeah.
So it almost makes you think it sounds like they've lived there, but she just started coming to school.
Maybe possibly. She's just coming back.
After being gone
after her mother's death, because it sounds fairly recent, but not too recent.
Exactly.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know how long
she doesn't know Elizabeth. She doesn't really know the other children very well. So she's definitely kind of been living sort of secluded, at least since it happened. And she's out in the infamous cabin that many other people live in later.
That's right.
So, it's a little ways from town, and I'm sure she doesn't get to play with the other kids or anything if she's the only person to help her dad.
Well, and Elizabeth says all they do is work.
Yeah. So sad.
Yeah. When Elizabeth says she needs her childhood. Please don't take it away from her. I was like, oh my gosh. Because that's exactly what it is. Laura is being forced to grow up too fast, to become the woman of the house. And she still needs time to be a child. She still needs time to be a kid and to enjoy life and not be afraid to be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was really beautiful. And okay, can we talk about that picture? That picture is just precious. That picture is so beautiful of the three of them silhouetted against the sunrise. And Laura says, Mama was our sunrise. She would want us to be happy. Oh gosh, I'm gonna cry again.
I think it's such a beautiful beginning that's kind of the first way we were introduced to Laura, and now she's grown up in the late, we get to watch her grow up and become a woman herself and start taking on a job and helping Elizabeth and to see that bond between Elizabeth and Laura that started with something like this is pretty cool.
That's a really good point. We shouldn't say too much of that because, spoilers, but. All right.
If people are hearing it from us, they're.
Yeah, then it probably. So let's go to the dirty Mountie.
Houston, we have a problem. I've been waiting to use that.
I bet you have. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's good. Hey, I'm the Texan. No, that's funny. That's funny. That's good. It was really interesting because the two arguments that Jack had that Houston can't be dirty are Houston has been a Mountie for 20 years. My father knew him.
Still been a Mountie.
I don't know, but number one, he knew his father, and number two, Bill's been a Mountie for a very, very, very long time, probably over 20 years is my guess, because he made inspector as well. So,
yeah, that was an odd line to me.
Well, I think it was Jack. Because they didn't
processing.
Yeah, processing, justifying. He didn't have evidence on Houston. He had evidence on Bill. And that was, he's a very black and white, cut and dried kind of person in these matters. Yeah. And so he had evidence. So boom, he's guilty. And he was going to he was going to find out, but at the moment he was still processing. But we find out that when Bill said, I'm asking you to trust me, and we find out that he did trust him enough to let him out of the cell, stage a breakout, give Houston an empty gun.
And Jack, and not Jack, but Bill had a gun. So he fully trusted him.
Yeah. Yeah, he fully trusted him.
It wasn't, okay, we'll see how this goes, and then I'll know who's telling the truth. It was a, yes, I believe you, because I'm giving you a gun and taking his gun away.
Yeah, if that had gone sideways at all, Jack would have been a dead man.
He did fully trust him at that point. And I love how they filmed that so that you didn't know that he trusted him.
Yes, that was pretty good on the storyline there.
The nail on the floor and the whole setup.
Well, and notice that Jack is the one that goes and picks up the nail. Yeah. So, he can't, if Houston had looked any closer, maybe it would have looked staged, but Jack went and picked up the nail, and then he sees the gun closet. He's armed. He grabs the gun, hands it to Houston. You better take this.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, I agree, Sarah. I really love that they filmed that so that we had a clue, but we weren't 100% certain until Houston turned the gun on
well, and I mean,
Jack.
it wasn't even that we were finding out that Jack trusted him. It was that we were even really finding out
everything.
Bill was good.
Yeah.
Finally, we're finally really figuring out what's going on with him.
We have the answer. We have a winner. Bill Avery, come on down. You're the next contestant on You Are Innocent. The Hearties have been deliberating for a very long time.
A lot of innocent people get put in that jail cell.
A lot of innocent people get put in that jail cell. We'll talk more about the line of people that get put in that jail cell, even when they're innocent, as time goes on. We should make a list.
Yeah.
Superintendent Collins. I don't know that he's superintendent at this point, but
I think he is.
Sam Collins shows up. I love that they get this recurring Mountie to like just come through multiple seasons.
Yeah.
These different times. It makes it so much more realistic.
Yes. Yes.
Because you wouldn't always talk to the same person at headquarters, but yes, there'd be times when you run into the same people in your line of work.
Right.
Also, really quick, we also saw Tom Travoy in this episode.
Yes!
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, because we forget that we haven't seen when he shows up to spoiler, when he shows up to sell the saloon, we say we haven't seen him since season 1. That's not true though. We saw him in this episode in season 3.
I think there's another episode where he maybe has a short scene, but it's
we'll watch and find out, right?
I know, we will find out shortly, but he shows up a few different times, but it's like you haven't seen him for years, and it is confusing. You're like, wait, what happened? And also Gowan and Nora had their dinner right next to the little wood stove in the saloon. And I was like, oh, there's the stove.
You wanna give the stove thing?
The stove has an issue in season 9. That's all we need to say.
The stove has an issue in season 9?
We'll leave it at that.
Okay.
So it's one of those it was more fun going back to it than watching it the first time.
Yeah. You're just like, oh, that's the stove.
The stove. But I will say, while we're on Gowan and Nora, that she looked a whole lot more normal.
Well, I was going to say, I was a little nostalgic for her when I saw her in this episode, because I was like, oh, look, she's like calmed down a little bit. Like when you're remembering Nora and when we were recapping season 2, she's crazy Nora. So you're like, oh, I'm so glad she's not on the show anymore. That is just a character that would be really hard to take every week. But then in this episode, I was like, well, if she was like this, I could handle it a little better. I would be okay if she like passed through town in season 10 and just had a hello like that. Like she seems normal. It's okay.
Yeah. I remember watching this one way back and I was like, this lady shows up again? Really? I thought she was going to be gone.
But then
she did become a little more likable to some degree. And if she shows up again, it would actually be really interesting to see Nora. Just
if she shows up again, what is poor Henry gonna do? The guy's dealing with so much right now.
That's a really good point.
One more person. What's one more Nora?
I will say this scene when Bill and Gowan were talking even more so solidified my gut feeling that Gowan was Martin's father.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
The way this conversation was worded, even more so than the ones in season 2, I felt like the way Bill was like, you walked away
You
from her
disappeared
on her before.
Mhm.
And just something about that.
And you also get the impression that Gowan, he's a lot tamer in this episode, and he even sings Amazing Grace. He even joins in.
I know. That was
But-
like, when I saw that, I was like, that's like the first moment where you're like, maybe there's a shred of humanity in there.
Maybe. But then he cold stares Bill and says, I'd sleep with a gun under my pillow. In fact, I wouldn't sleep at all. You're like, same old Gowan. Nora brings the soft side out of him, but right now he's the same old Gowan from season 1 and 2 at the moment.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, this just got layered because then I forgot about that. Yes, yeah. I remember feeling like Gowan was Martin's father. But then, like, of course, I mean, there's like expiration on spoilers, so this has been out a while, but he also has a son that comes through in season 8. So it's like, wow, Gowan was like super shady. Because
he was married to Christopher's mother, though. He mentions that he was married, but they got divorced.
Yeah, but still, like, if he and Nora had a son together and Gowan walks out and then he marries Christopher's mother and then he walks out
and then divorces her and walks out.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that just got layered.
Well, on that note, we'll leave you with that layer.
Layered Gowan.
And we will be back with season 3, episode 3, which is a personal favorite of mine. And all I gotta say is campfire. Oh yeah, baby. And the campfire ain't the only thing that's burning.
And this is why we called her the unhooked Heartie. So
okay, so Casey,
it's not that late yet. Recording this one early.
The topic of conversation, guys. Come on.
Heat it up here.
Okay. Casey, oxygen tank, please.
All right, sending one your way.
Excellent.
Oh my goodness.
So, Casey, since you are technically a guest host this episode, would you care to tell people where they can find you?
You can find me on Instagram and on Twitter at Casey__Simpson. And that's all.
You can also find her on past episodes of Hearties Hotline.
You can also find me on Deliver Me a Podcast too.
Yes, you can.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This was so much fun.
Yeah, it was so fun. Walk down memory lane. Always good.
All right. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy 4th of July. Merry Christmas in July. Whatever. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
All the holidays. Woo.